Hey, we're here at NAB 2019, first and foremost with Sound Devices and Paul Isaacs and the Scorpio. Paul, how are you?
Very good.
Good.
Very tired.
I bet.
It's been a great project, but very enduring. So
Okay.
we're here.
So yeah, tell us a little bit about the Scorpio.
Okay, well, this is our most premium product that we've ever made. It's certainly an upgrade from the 788 and the 688. It's a 32 channel, 36 track mixer recorder, fully featured timecode. It's got 16 of our best sounding mic preamps ever. It's a totally new design of mic preamp, lowest noise that we've ever made. Has 32 channels of Dante in and out. It has AES in and out. It's just very well endowed with amounts of inputs and outputs. So it records to an internal 256 gigabyte internal SSD drive. We can also simultaneously record to 2 SD cards, so that's 3 media. And we can record to all 3 media, all 36 tracks, up to 96K.
Wow. And how much record time would you get recording 96K on the hard drive, for instance?
God, you're asking mathematical questions now. At that level, you're probably talking about 7 or 8 hours.
Okay.
But that, I'd have to,
so if you were doing a musical or something like that, you could get through a day with the hard drive.
But remember, you have SD cards now, which go up to 156 gig as well. So for 192 kilohertz, we're going to go up to 118 tracks across all 3 media.
Wow.
So great sounding mic preamps, huge number of outputs. So there's 12 outputs, and each of these outputs can be fed with any ISO track or input channel. In fact, the routing on capability of this device is fully flexible. So any input can go to any track in any combination. You can then route any combination of inputs, comm returns, slate signals, tone to any of 12 input buses, so mix buses, internal mix buses, and then send those buses to any output. Now we have 12 analog outputs, we have 3 headphone outputs that can all be configured with individual mixes. We have 32 Dante outputs, which all can have individual mixes, AES outputs, so a lot of capability here. Want to talk a little bit about the powering on this. It can be powered, there's 2 external DC ports.
Right.
You can power from obviously the wall or via an MP1. We have adapters and accessories here which allow you to connect an MP1.
And it's a standard TA4 connector.
Standard TA4 connector. We also can work with smart batteries. So this is just a standard Audio/Inspired Energy battery. We've branded our own.
Sure.
These are 98 watt, and we have an adapter for this as well, which clips onto here, like so. And that's got a TA4 on the end of it too.
And does this bring you all the battery data, all the telemetry that you would get?
It will. Not at release, but full battery telemetry will be displayed here.
So you know the exact number of hours and all that.
And there's a dedicated power menu for all of that just here, where you can see the state of all your batteries, etc. So that's powering, and on the rear of the unit you have 2 L-mount battery slots as well. So ideal as backup battery sources, so if you lose power it just switches over. Those batteries can be charged if you want to. There's a switch that enables charging or not.
Oh, so this has an onboard charger?
Yes.
Oh wow, just like the 788 did.
Just that one feature there is, for me, great. It means you're not
deal.
constantly swapping out batteries and having to sort of constantly manage that side of things. Just leave them on the back. In terms of recording it, all the reliable recording capabilities, it's got a file safe, so if you pull all power in the middle of recording, your files are totally safe, you won't lose any audio, maybe a maximum of a second of audio. Let's talk a little bit about control. So, you know, the Scorpio is a great over-the-shoulder piece. It's about the same size as a 688. And so it fits in the same bag that you'd use for a 688.
It works with the SL6.
It works with the SL6. We have an accessory called the SL Riser, which enables the SL6 to fit on top. It also helps to recess the receivers back a little bit. Now, at release, we will only be supporting the A10 receivers, but to follow fairly quickly, we'll have support for Lectrosonics and Wizicom.
Got it.
The operating system and the hardware is totally new.
Okay.
This hardware is not based on anything we've done before. It's a very powerful 3 FPGA system and got multiple processors running. This really has the power of a typical fully fledged live digital console that you would use for a massive live music event. It's got the same capability, but all in a small box like this that can be powered from battery. It almost defies the laws of physics. And the question has come up, oh, that must be really power hungry. Well, it's actually very power efficient in that we've created an advanced power management system to very intelligently turn off absolutely everything that is not in use. Let me give you a few examples of that. If I turn off a mic preamp, it'll fully shut off that input circuitry as well as the ADC that supports that. If you're not running with Dante, on the rear of the panel is a Dante slider hatch, and behind that are your 2 RJ45 connectors. If the hatch is fully shut, it knows that you can't have an RJ45, so it says, okay, power down the Dante. And we use like a little hall sensor behind there to detect when the shutter is open or closed. I'd like to talk a little bit now about, yes, it's great over the shoulder, but it's also, we've designed it with the cart in mind. We've designed it really to be a great solution for both.
Right.
Pretty much like the 688, but this goes even further.
Right. Well, to me, it seems like it's kind of all the best things about the 688, the 7 Series, the 970, and the MixBrain.
But just takes it up a notch.
Yep.
More than a notch, actually.
Yeah.
Because it's a totally new operating system that has allowed us to do a bunch more with the software. So let's talk about external control for a minute. What we have on Scorpio is a USB, well, we have 2 USB connectors, USB-A and USB-C. The USB-A supports USB hubs.
Okay.
So that enables you to, and actually I'm running with that right now, a little
You're
hub
running on
here,
a hub now.
and I'm connecting this external USB controller here and a USB Android tablet here running an app.
And this is the new app.
Yeah, we've got a new app too.
Great.
So we support this open protocol called, it's a USB Midi protocol called MCU. It's been around for years and many controllers support that. The wonderful thing about it is really anyone can develop for this protocol. And it's very far reaching. It supports many aspects of production. Now, so what we've done in this case, initially out the chute, we're just supporting this third-party controller made by Icon. It's the Platform M+. Why have we chosen this one to start with? Well, it's extremely solid. It's a full metal, rugged chassis.
Okay, yeah,
all solid metal, so it feels like it was made to work with our product. It doesn't slide, it's rock solid on the surface. It's not a consumer toy at all. So that was number one, but also it had the best layout of controls for our type of application, which is a dedicated fader.
Yeah.
You can see the fader detail coming up here on the screen as I move.
Oh, yeah.
The USB Midi protocol allows us to have super low latency, much faster than the CL12.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
And then we have a dedicated trim per channel as well. Okay, now this is something that all our users have been asking for us for a long time.
Since the CL12 came out.
Yeah, unfortunately we didn't have that on the CL12, so here's a great solution for that. Each channel has a record arm, a solo, mute, and select. And then if I press the select button, it brings up the FAT channel for that channel. Now I can do things like delay adjustments, limiter on and off, high pass filter, EQ band. I can turn my EQ on here. Okay, and I have 3 full bands of EQ. Don't worry, if you don't have one of these, you can still access the full EQ from the new channel screen.
Oh wow, look at that.
This is a total new design of the channel screen.
Sure is.
I can come in here and select my EQ and adjust any of these bands. You know, the frequency, the gain, the Q factor, the type, you can bypass, it's all here. So you can see how flexible it is. It has transport controls and obviously bank switching. So come into here, I can bank switch. So now that gives me access to all 32 channels with all their mute, solos, arms, trims, faders. So that's pretty neat.
And how are the faders?
They're actually not bad.
Yeah.
They're not bad at all. They're motorized. They're not going to be like a P&G.
Right.
A non-motorized fader is always going to feel a bit smoother, but because it's motorized, but these actually feel very nice, like, totally usable.
Yeah.
So let's move over quickly here to the other controller we've got. Now these are all plugged via the hub into the unit. I could actually run multiples of these.
So you can daisy chain them together.
You can.
So you could have, if you had a bigger scene, 8 is usually fine for most things, but if you needed to have 16, 24,
and
32.
Icon provide a range of other accessories. So they have, they actually have another platform called the X Plus, which is basically just 8 faders, and it removes this bit here. So that could be your slave, and then you have dedicated faders and trims for all 16.
Cool.
Whether you want it at the side or on a separate tray down here, that's up to you. Our new app here is called SD Remote.
Yeah.
And this allows you to view all, I mean, because this has got quite a small display.
Yep.
When you're dealing with up to 32 channels,
it's hard to see.
It's hard to see. Although we can, we can obviously change the display layout here to anything we like. I could just have 8 if I wanted.
Sure.
Here you get some really nice meters. I can do solos. I can do arms from here. I can do mutes. I can do record, transport controls. We've laid out the transport controls on the right side so you can easily reach with your thumb.
That makes sense.
Red for record, obviously. So.
And all the standard metadata information.
That will be there. You'll be able to edit, scene, and take. Now, this is the start of our new design for this new app. We can do many things with this as we evolve into the future. So that gives you a quick overview there.
Does it have auto mix? Does it have the Dugan?
That's a good question. Auto mix won't be available at release, but it will come very soon thereafter. So Dugan and mixes will be supported. What's really nice, actually, I'm glad you bring that up, is we brought the ring LEDs that we have on the 788, and I think most people really like how immediate they are.
Yep.
You can see the signal exactly where you need to adjust. So what we can do, these are actually fully RGB LEDs.
I noticed you got yellow and blue and green and red, orange.
We can make them any color. So for instance, if we decide with Dugan that we want to make them purple, we can. So to show when a mic is open or closed. So there's nice little touches like that. We've got an extra toggle switch here, which can be used to access as a shortcut to your other channels. Because obviously we've only got dedicated trims and faders for the first 12 channels on the front panel here. But if I want to access 13 through 32, I mean, with a controller like this, it's easy just by bank switching. But from here, I can just use my toggle and then flick to another toggle. Now I'm seeing channel 13. Channel 14, channel 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22.
So you don't have to dig through the menu to get to it.
You can access the menu, but so we thought about that. Comms, we realise that communications on set these days is getting more and more complicated. So we have 2 private line circuits, COM1 and COM2, and a public circuit, Slate. And each one of these circuits can be fully configured. For instance, if I go down to my Slate comms menu and just take a look at COM send 1, for instance, I can route that to any of the outputs, any internal bus mix, and to the headphones in any combination. And one of the things that our users have asked us for is some flexibility with what happens to the program feed. So, for instance, some people like to be able to communicate without muting the program. Some people prefer that the program is muted. And other people prefer to just duck the level of the program. So now you have full control out over that, whether to duck, mute, or to mute. And with ducking level, you've got fully variable gain.
Oh, wow. So you can really dial it in for exactly how you want it.
So you can set what you want to do with your own headphones and whether it should duck, mute, or unmute, and what's happening to the send via the output. So it's pretty cool. We've got the auto mute feature in here as well that we just added to the 688 and 633 in version 4.60.
Okay.
So we brought the auto mute feature here, which mutes the outputs when you're not in record.
Great. Yeah. So perfect.
So there's some other really nice features like post roll. I mean, yes, we do have pre-roll, 10 seconds of pre-roll, but we have post-roll, and I think this is a really nice feature. When maybe on set a director accidentally calls cuts too soon, you hit stop, and then they actually didn't mean that, you want to re-roll. You can set a defined length of time up to 10 seconds, whereby if I set my pre-roll here to post roll up to 10 seconds. Now I can hit record and cut. Okay, press stop. Oh, I didn't mean to cut.
Sorry, the light is mesmerizing.
Boom. I'm just recording now directly back into the same take, no break at all. If I actually want to cancel and override that, I just hit stop again. So yeah, you notice we've done some cool things here to show that the transport is moving. You've got a little rotating LED.
Yeah, that's cute.
So, and we can do this. That's telling you that it's just wrapping up the file. I can hit stop again to override the post roll. Other really nice features, which are, this one's particularly good for reality show. So I'm just going to switch to my 32 channel view here.
Okay.
I've only got 16, the first 6 inputs going. But it's often necessary in a reality to, people have been asking us for ages, can we just enable an armor track during record?
On the fly, yeah.
On the fly without having to stop the recording, arming and then going back in. So yes, we can do that. You can be in record and then I just select my track, hold meter, and let's say I want to turn this one on. And then it seamlessly creates a new file. Okay, so it's seamlessly split. And I can disarm and it'll do the same thing. I can even do multiple arms. So if let's say a group of talent, but I want to bring it at the same time. Obviously I don't want to arm them individually. Otherwise I'll end up with all these splits. So what I can do is press in the encoder. Well, I'm actually disarming right now.
Oh, that is wild.
If I just press it in and contiguously do it, they'll all be armed and then added on the fly without any split gaps. So little touches like that. There's so much more.
And then I know you've got the Bluetooth antenna for external control that'll be available.
Yes, so we've started off with going hardwired. Actually, on settings, you know, there's a lot of 2.4 gigahertz out there. So many of our users actually wanted a hardwired connection. So this gives the advantage of that interference reliability against interference, but also it charges the Android at the same time. So initially we're supporting Android, but we will be supporting iOS as well.
And what is the USB-C port for?
Good question. That's the file transfer.
Okay.
So it's full USB 3 speed. So hook it up, the 3 drives, the 2 SD cards and the internal drive
they'll all show up on
will
the
all
computer.
appear, and then you can transfer files that way.
And any compatibility issues with that out the gate, or is that Mac, PC?
Fully Mac compatible. So let's talk about a little bit about file formats and disk formats. This is exFAT disk format and broadcast wave. We are the first recorder to support Wave 64, 64-bit WAV files.
So what does that mean?
There's still broadcast WAV files. No need to panic.
Okay.
So as people know, there's a 4 gigabyte limit to FAT32 and to broadcast wave, which means when you reach that limit, 4 gigabytes, you have to split to a new file. Which is all, well, it works, but it just means extra work in post, sort of like joining these things up. So for long duration recording, if you could increase that limit, so that's what exFAT gives us. It gives us like a limit of exabytes to file size. And also the Wave 64, otherwise known as RF64, also gives us that. So we default this to RF64, but it's clever, so that when you start recording, if you're under that 4 gigabyte file size, it'll just be a standard wave. Okay, but as soon as it reaches 4 gigabyte, it will automatically convert to an RF64. Now, in terms of compatibility, RF64 has been tested in Pro Tools, Nuendo, Final Cut Pro X, Adobe Premiere, Avid. It sort of all works. Reaper, it all works. Many of these workstations already support it. Some don't. I have to confess, our Wave agent
I was just going to ask that. Not yet?
does not support RF64 right yet. So if you really want to work with that, then you should probably go to your record menu and go to your track to media routing and set that to standard BWF. While we're in this screen, another really nice feature is a track to media routing menu. So now you can choose different file groups to go to different, the SSD, the SD1 or the SD2 in different combinations. Maybe I just want ISOs to go to SD1. Maybe I want just the mix to go to SD2. Maybe I want everything to go to the internal drive. maybe I want these files in monophonic format and those ones in polyphonic format. We have all that flexibility from this menu here.
Okay.
So.
And does it do MP3s like the 6 series?
No.
Will it do MP3s like the 6 series?
That's something we can consider.
Okay.
I mean, the power of this product enables us to think about many of these features, but we obviously understand the requirement for MP3. Right. For transcription purposes. Yep. A few things on this side. Obviously, we have 16 inputs for our mic line inputs. Yeah, our best mic preamps. Yeah, it's really low noise. Best specs as well. We've got an extra dB out off the noise floor. The first 6 mic preamps are on XLR, full-size XLR. Then we have 2 on TA3.
Yep.
And then the remaining 8 are on TA5. And we will be providing, as an accessory, an adapter which TA5 to 2 XLRs. Okay, and that's about 2 feet long. So there's that. We have a COM return port here, and one of the nice things is we have a 5-pin TA5 for a headset.
Yep.
So to work with a true audio headset system, where you can be your monitoring and your communication
right, and
all
it's
in one.
The standard remote audio wiring.
Exactly. So that is your headphones. We have, come over here a little bit, anything I've forgotten? Oh, the hatch for the SD cards is a nice little touch.
Yeah.
You can see it's a double jointed
Oh, it goes
flat.
all the way up. Yeah, look
So
at
unlike
that.
the 688 where you have to remove the USB plug, you don't have to do all of that.
You can really get into it pretty easily.
So I think I've given a pretty good overview here.
I think so.
Time code, obviously it's all there.
Yeah.
Word clock.
And it'll do the same power transfer if you have an NP1 in the SL6?
Yes.
It'll power it?
Correct. Yeah.
Cool. All right. And availability
It'll be second quarter.
Okay. So anytime between now and end of June?
Correct.
Okay. It's $89.95, right?
You got it.
$89.95.
Oh,
Yeah,
one thing I
for
didn't mention
deposits.
on the controller, actually, we spoke about the channel control. One thing we didn't mention is that there will be a couple of customizable buttons on here, which you can allocate to comms.
Okay.
Right. There's also like these 3 mode buttons. So this is the main mode, the mixer. If I press this button, now these become our bus masters.
Yeah.
Okay. And we can bank switch those as well. And I can even arm buses here.
Oh, that's cool.
I can also so if I go back to my channel mode here, and I select one of the fat channels, so channel 1 fat channel here, there's actually a second page of parameters here as well. Now these become all my bus sends for that channel to each bus.
Okay. So you can really do everything from the
We're
control
planning on
surface.
doing sends on faders as well. So coming out of that bus, and then we have the third mode, which is our output level. So these are actually my physical output levels here. And I can mute those outputs very quickly from here as well. So yeah, I think that's a good start. There's a lot more in there.
Yeah.
A lot. There's much more you can do. One last thing.
One last thing.
One last thing, because I'm not going to bore
This is the third last thing, to be clear. Okay.
And that is, we wanted to stop as much menu diving as possible.
Yeah.
So you can access all your meters here via a drop-down list. And so with one hand, select any meter view, right? Or alternatively, I can press the meter button and flick a PFL to switch meter view. And I can customize whatever meter view appears on a PFL toggle. Likewise, I can do the same with this. If I press and hold this, I can have a shortcut to a bus routing screen. See this?
Yeah.
So that's a very quick way. You don't have to dive into a menu. Likewise, I can do the same with, if I press this, I bring up my outputs list and just select an output. Buses and outputs are a different thing in this product. A bus is an internal mix bus, and then you can route that to any physical output in any order. Then obviously we have our headphone presets, and we can customize all those, name them, unlist them, list them. That was the last thing.
Okay, that was the last thing. All right. So to summarize, new flagship recorder, 32 tracks, 36 record tracks.
36 record tracks, 32 channels.
32 channels, Dante, everything to everyone.
USB control, the whole thing. Yeah.
Cool.
You got it.
Awesome.
Well done.
Cool. Paul, thank you so much.
Thank you for listening. Thanks. Thanks. Bye-bye.